All right, let's just jump right in. The whole remote work thing, it's been a game changer, right? So much flexibility. And there's always a but. There's a dark side. A whole new set of really sophisticated risks have popped up. So today, we're going to talk about how to lock down this new world of work. Because honestly, knowing who's on the other side of that screen has never, ever been more important.
I mean, it feels like overnight everyone just started working from home, right? And for a lot of us, that's not changing. We've totally leaned into the good stuff, but now we've got to face the music and deal with the security headaches that tagged along for the ride.
Look, we've gained so much. Crazy productivity, a better work-life balance. It's been awesome. But here's the thing we absolutely cannot forget, that flexibility can't become a wide-open backdoor for fraud, for theft, for all sorts of insider threats. It's time to get serious about securing it.
So, what are we actually up against here? What are these new dangers? I'm not just talking about your run-of-the-mill phishing scams anymore. No, this is a whole new level. We're talking about threats that are specifically designed to take advantage of the trust and the distance that's just baked into hiring people remotely.
Okay, so it pretty much breaks down into three big buckets. First, you've got super sophisticated identity theft. Second, this weirdly growing trend of overemployment, where people are secretly working multiple full-time jobs. And third, and this is some sci-fi stuff, the use of deepfake tech to trick hiring managers. Let's dig into each one.
So, with the stolen identities, these attackers, they're not messing around. They've got a whole toolbox of fraudulent gear. They're grabbing stolen social security numbers from all those data breaches we hear about. They're using AI to cook up totally realistic but completely fake headshots, and they're creating deepfake documents that would fool almost anyone. Without a really, really good check, a company could literally hire a ghost.
And then there's this overemployment thing. This is wild. It's where someone is secretly holding down 2, sometimes even more, full-time jobs. And this goes way beyond just, stealing time. Just think about it for a second. These people have legitimate credentials and access to multiple company networks. It's a total security and compliance nightmare, basically swinging the door wide open for some really serious insider threats.
Okay, and this is where it starts to feel like we're living in the future, and not necessarily in a good way. Candidates are now using AI to literally cheat the hiring process. They can manipulate their video feed to fake eye contact, or even show up to the interview as a complete digital avatar. These tricks are all designed to just sail past standard HR video screenings, especially when those calls aren't being watched by a live person.
Now, I know this all might sound a little out there, a bit abstract, but I promise you, this stuff is happening right now, today. So let's look at some actual cases from the front lines that show you just how high the stakes really are.
And this timeline here, it shows you just how fast this whole thing has blown up. I mean, as early as 2022, the FBI was already raising red flags. Fast forward to 2025 and boom, we're seeing 2 huge things happen. Massive, multi-year criminal operations are getting busted, and at the same time, these individual stories of overemployment are starting to make headlines.
So back in 2022, the FBI put out this specific alert. They warned that criminals were using deepfakes, we're talking fake voices, video stand-ins, the whole shebang, to apply for remote jobs. And not just any jobs, sensitive positions in tech and healthcare, all with the goal of getting inside and stealing valuable data.
Now get a load of this number. $17 million. That's how much money was wrapped up in just a single state-sponsored identity fraud ring. The scale of this thing is it's mind-boggling. In 2025, the Department of Justice brought down the hammer on a scheme that placed North Korean IT workers into remote jobs at dozens of U.S. companies. They used thousands of stolen American identities, ran the whole thing from these laptop farms, and laundered over $17 million back to the North Korean government. Just wow. But it's not always state-sponsored. On a more personal level, the motivation can be just as strong. Check this out. More than $250,000. That's the combined salary one remote worker was pulling in by secretly juggling 2 jobs. Yeah, this case, which Business Insider covered, was about a specialist they called Daniel. He was holding down 2 full-time gigs at the same time, and it just shows how incredibly easy it is for this to go completely unnoticed when everyone's remote. The only reason he got caught was because conflicting login patterns finally raised a red flag. So, okay. The problem is clear. It's sophisticated and it's definitely growing. The old ways of checking someone's ID, they just don't cut it anymore. This new reality, it demands a new, much higher standard of security. It's what we call the high assurance mandate. And this really brings us to the one question that every single person in HR, IT, and security needs to be asking themselves right now. How do you really know who you're hiring when you can't meet them face to face?
Well, the answer is a standard called Identity Assurance Level 3, or IL3. This is basically the gold standard for proving who you are. It means you either have to show up in person or go through a live, supervised remote verification. Just think of it like this. It's the digital version of getting your ID checked for a passport or to get into a super high security government building.
In this chart, it really lays out the difference, plain and simple. To hit that IL3 standard, you need stuff that your average solution just doesn't have. You need a real, live human watching the process. You need super advanced document scanning that looks for security features you can't even see, like stuff under UV and infrared light. You need to collect biometrics, think fingerprints or facial scans. And here's a big one. You have to make sure the user can't mess with the device they're being verified on. It's this all-in, comprehensive approach that IL3 level solutions bring to the table.
So, what does this whole high assurance thing actually look like for a new employee? You might be surprised. It's actually pretty straightforward and designed to be easy, not some giant hurdle.
It's really just a simple 4-step deal. First, the person just pops into a nearby location from a nationwide network. No appointment necessary. Second, they connect live with a remote agent who walks them through everything. Third, once they're verified, they get a secure credential, either digital or a physical card. And fourth, they activate it and use it for secure access from then on. Simple as that.
But this kind of security isn't just a one-and-done check. It's really about establishing a trusted identity right from the get-go, before they even start day one, and then keeping that trust solid throughout their entire time with the company.
And look, this isn't just some theory. It's being used right now by organizations with the absolute highest security needs. You've got Adam McBride from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and he points out that these high-assurance systems are not only way more secure, but they're also flexible, accessible, and actually speed up the whole onboarding process. So it's a win-win.
And that brings us to the final, critical question for every single organization out there. In this new era of work, a warm welcome is great. It's essential. But without the right kind of identity verification, is your welcome aboard also a wide open door for a level of risk you just can't afford to take?